Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Tuesday night Q&A ahead of round 9 and after the conclusion of round 8, a couple of days post that. For those listening back to the podcast and the video replay, we're recording live on Tuesday, the 6th of May. And as we said, building up to another hopefully good round in round 9. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And we got a full panel tonight. We've got 4 of the Fantasy Fanatics jumping on tonight. So jumping on as we always do. So first off, I'll go to the first of the Fanatics is Guesty. Mate, how are you? Obviously didn't get to chat to you on Sunday, but how was the weekend?
Mate, I had a belter of a weekend. Felt pretty good having a big score. I think I was like third highest in the Content Creators Cup. So it jumped me up another, I think 3,500 spots. But look, it's just nice to have the team kind of shaping up and looking in a pretty decent position. Although, it's going to be trades this week are going to be a bit tough. It's it's kind of a real array of different diverse options. And of course, people are running out of cash. So I don't know how many answers I'm going to have tonight. Definitely a few questions, and we'll talk through the boys, and maybe it'll help me make some decisions about my own team. But can you get into it? And like the fact we've got a full panel.
Yes, exactly. No, looking forward to it. And jumping on is another one of our Fantasy Fanatics, and also one of my fellow Crowies. It's good old Jordox, mate. Go the Crows. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to see you, boys. Yeah, good weekend for the Crows. Not so much for my AF side, which is just, don't know, I might need you guys to pick me up tonight because I opened up my team today and looked at it. It's just the same miserable bastards looking at me that were there last week. Anyway, so these Tuesday night chats always get me going for the week ahead, so bring it on.
Yeah, mate. No, looking forward to it. And jumping on, obviously, the newest addition to the Fantasy Fanatics family, it's a good friend, Jordy. Jordy, mate, how are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Great to have a full panel and talk about, what's ahead. I think, as Guesty said, it's a tough week, especially with that ruck line, but then what happens with your next players. So keen to chat through all of that. So, thanks for having me on.
Exactly
hey, Jordy,
right.
is there any truth to the rumour that we were forced to bring you into the Fanatics because we're all doing so fucking poorly and you're the only one scoring well?
Oh, mate, that's very nice words. I think, I don't know. We got a good start early, so we just try and keep going with that.
I think it's clear, fellas. The only thing better than one Jordan is two, so it makes sense.
That's it.
Love it.
Oh, it must go in the name because got old Jordan Dawson as well is also having a pretty good year as well. So pretty good to see him at the top of the AFL Coach Association votes. But we're not going to make this into a Crows pod, as I'm sure that people listening are like, oh, come on, Bales, move on. But yes, no, and we almost have a full panel. Obviously, Jaiden isn't with us now. Obviously, put out the update last week, working his way back from a few health things. So from all of us, obviously, at the Fanatics, obviously, well wishes to Jaiden, and be good to chat with him at some point in the near future when he is ready and willing to jump on. But yes, let's get before we actually get stuck in, because we haven't had a guest in Jordox's weeks went. So obviously, we heard Jordy on the weekend how he went. Guesty, we'll start off with you, mate. Obviously, you had a belter of a week, mate. What was your score? And what's your well, I'm not going to ask you for your round rank because you always say you have got no idea. So what's your overall rank looking like now?
Oh, you're training me, Bales. So I'm getting into looking into it. I think it was about 4,500. Actually, I'm just quickly checking now. 5,500 round rank. Had 2,227. Look, I held both Stuart and Oliver. I'm not sure. I probably lost 50 points by doing that. I would have been up in the 2,277 or something along those lines. But look, that's what I decided to do. Maybe I'm just holding on too long to bloody Tom Stewart, just thinking that he's going to come good. But I don't know. We'll find out at teams tomorrow. On Thursday. But 2,227. Yeah, pretty high. Like I said, high score. Look, I don't know, +3s, -3s. Let me just have a quick look. I mean, I had some big scores there. Maxi Gawn, Harry Sheasel on debut, and then probably the one that hurt me the most would have been a Xavier Lindsay, although we don't normally give it to rookies. So I'll give it a TDK, and certainly he's on the chopping block for this week. But I'm sure we've got plenty to talk about when it comes to him. But yeah, moved up to just under 9,000. So I'm 8,908. Got a 4-digit rank, which I'm happy about. Working away, right?
Yes, exactly.
Good trading, Guesty. Good work.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
only 15 points between us, Tim. So hopefully we can both keep rising up the ranks together. But just before we go to Jordox's week, Content Creators Cup, right? Tell what so we heard a bit from
from Luke,
an absolute belter of a comeback that probably no one saw. So just what happened? Let the listeners know that comeback.
Yeah, so look, he was talking about Luke Trainer, but I didn't see that. I actually because I wasn't on Sunday, I actually had a date. So I left just after the game started, and both I had basically Levi Ashcroft and Will Ashcroft to play, and I think I was like 230 points down or 220 points down or something along those lines. So I was looking at it going, there's no way. It's never going to happen. Saw them get off to a good start, and I was like, oh, I could be on here. But then I had to go to my date. And look, I normally, put the phone away, put it on Do Not Disturb, all that kind of stuff. I must admit there was a few times where I was like, I want to check my phone here. But a bit towards the end of the night, a bit later on in the night, I thought, here we go, I'm going to go to the bathroom, check my phone. And opened up the ad to see, what was it, like 115, 118 or something along those lines. And I did a little woohoo and a little dance in the toilet. Maybe other people thought I was going to get lucky or something like that, but it was better than getting lucky. I beat bloody Roger in the Content Creators Cup, and considering is he ranked? He's like 600 or 700. He's got a 3-digit rank, so pretty bloody happy to have knocked him off for the weekend.
Yeah, oh mate, what a comeback, that's for sure. But the question I have for you as well, one more follow-up thing, right? So you said you went on a date, right?
I'm not going to tell you what happened with my date.
No,
I'm not going to
no,
go.
that's not what I want to know, right? So I want to know for all the people that have got Max Gorn out there. So gather round. You went on a date on the Saturday and he went big, right? Did you go on a date in round 6 and 7? Because if you did, that means you need to go on a date for the rest of the year if you're a Gorn owner, because it clearly is working.
Well, I don't think I did on 6 or 7. It's
okay, well, that puts that to bed.
I may have had a date on Gather Round, and but yeah, it's not exactly like I'm flush with the ladies. So yeah, but hey, maybe it's something I should stick to. I'll go on dates when and maybe Maxi Gorn, does 150s or something like that.
Exactly,
I think you should stick to it, Guesty. I'm a Gorn.
Yeah, it's working.
I will, but for other reasons than fantasy, right?
Swiftly moving on to Jordox. So Jordox, mate, how was your weekend? You said it's a bit tougher. At least the Crows kept up a bit, but how was your fantasy weekend? And what was your score, round rank, overall rank?
Yeah, much less exciting for me in the fantasy world and probably romantically. But I drifted back over the 10K. That's why I'm a bit salty. It's just annoying. It took me a while to get under it, and I've drifted out. So I scored 21.36. And overall rank now sits at 10.506. I thought my trades were good. I actually made a real last minute change on Friday. And I don't think, generally speaking, when you make a change at the very last minute, it doesn't generally work out, but it did. I had Bo Allen. I was pretty bullish on him all week. And then just when Boxall wasn't the sub on Friday, I just had this feeling about it and thought I'll bank the extra cash. Anyway, so that worked out really well. I got Boxall instead of Allen. The other trade was Dacos, which I'm not that upset about. He was always going to have a lower game, but at least I've got him now. It's just the same old dickheads letting me down, if I'm honest. Max Holmes and Sammy Walsh. I got to start moving, I reckon, on those guys. But +3, let's give it to Luke Trainer. Like, what a legend, We had to put him on the field and trust him, and he just keeps on getting it done, doesn't he?
Yeah, particularly because I see he didn't have obviously you don't have Zach Reid. You must have traded him out. So obviously it was good to have that 87, which meant that not having Reid didn't hurt too much, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Some big scores around it, but yeah, I liked what Trainer did. And then -3. Walsh, Sam Walsh. Like, come on, dude. You just got to be better than that. It was up against a formidable midfield, I must say, the Crows.
Yep, your boy Sam Berry was pretty good at coming on the sub, that's for sure.
He was
So,
good.
yep.
He was. But yeah.
For the people that don't know out there, my boy is obviously Lairdy, and then you could also say Dawson as well to an extent, but Jordox's boy is Sam Berry. So, just remember that one. But yeah, Walsh, unfortunately, he's only had 2 tons this year. They were back-to-back, and they're both massive, and the rest of them have just been underwhelming. So, I think you got to keep the faith with him. He'll come good, but yeah, just a bit frustrated with some of those lower scores. But let's get stuck into, obviously, got a lot of listeners out there listening in at the moment, and people obviously listening back, and they got some questions. So if you are tuning in live, please send through any questions that you guys have got, and we'll get through as many as we can tonight. If you want a guaranteed answer and would like to do a super chat, feel free. That's you don't need to. We'll try and get to your question anyway. We'll go through a few things. But before we do, I just want to touch on one thing. Obviously, we got the buys approaching us pretty quickly. So we're heading into round 9 now, and we have got 11 trades, if I'm not mistaken, before the first buy. So you got the 2 for round 9, 2 for round 10, 2 for round 11, and then 3 for round 12. So yes, we got 11 trades before the buys hit. Jordy, I'll go to you first, mate. What are you planning on? I guess because now we've probably got to start thinking. Every time we do a trade, we're thinking about, okay, does this fit the buy structure? If you're doing an upgrade, you probably lean more. If you've got 2 guys, you lean more towards a guy that fit your better buy structure. What are you doing in terms of planning over the next, 4 weeks of trades, and including this week, to ensure you've got a good buy structure?
Yes. I think the round 12 one is the big one. I think obviously, that's the first buy. So that's probably where, and also a lot of fantasy relevant players are on that one. So, I think there's a couple of questions about some of these guys like Bont and Butters and some of these awesome premiums that are probably good price, but they've got that round 12 buy. So I think for me, just per line, I haven't really got a number yet, but I'm thinking I've probably got 6 guys at the moment on round 12, which is probably potentially too much. So I'll probably start looking at some of these guys, whether you trade them out. But once we get to round 12, I think, then you can start bringing those guys in, and maybe you can get one of those premiums in after that. So I would, obviously have the view of looking, but I think the round 12 one's probably the big one. Like, you're probably better off getting one of those guys in round 13, and then you've got all of that stretch. The other thing is also you could potentially bring in guys that have the last buy, because you're getting quite a lot more games out of them from now till then. So I'm not sure if there's a number. I know, Bales, you were saying about how many you would want. But yeah, I'm pretty much just keeping an eye on that round 12 one, I think, for now.
Yeah, I think, the round 12 one's obviously the tricky one. And when 2 of the most sought-after players at the moment, both from North Melbourne, being Tristan Sherry and Harry Sheasel, with that round 12 buy, people are targeting and bringing him in. But then you got to think, well, does it fit my buy? Or if you're going to bring him in, you probably got to look at trading out a few of these guys that have got the round 12 buy that you're not looking at holding throughout. So yeah, very good words there, Jordy. Jordox, what are you, any sort of plans in place? What are you thinking of doing in terms of ensuring that you're all set up ready for the buys?
Probably nothing to this point, which is a reflection of how my season's gone. Failing to plan is planning to fail. But it is interesting this year because it's 5 weeks, isn't it? And that's new. So I think you made a good point, Jordy, about in previous years, it was a real no-no bringing in anyone who's about to have a buy. But you could, in that first buy, bring in someone in the last buy because it's a month later. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit different to most years. It is a good time, though, because it's a nice little hair split up when you can't pick between 2 players, which one is going to work better for you by structure. So, I've got a bit of work to do just to have a good look and get my head around the buys, which are the bad ones, the good ones, etc. And then, I'll definitely start looking at that when I do my upgrades. Yeah, no, very, very good point there as well. And we'll finish off with Guesty. What are you doing with your plans for the buys to ensure your buys are successful? And like me and Jordox, obviously all trying to rise from that 9K sort of ish range and try and really head towards that top sort of 1,000, or maybe if we've got an outside chance for Hat, maybe.
Yeah, look, I mean, I haven't done any deep diving on that kind of stuff yet. I've been keeping an eye on it for the last couple of weeks, scrolling across all the different weeks to see how I'm loaded, and I'm actually pretty lucky. Like, I feel pretty spread across all of the buys. I do have 7 for round 12, but that leaves me 17 primos on field, or 17 current on field players right now. So I'm not feeling too worried about that. I'm really only going to have one additional player on field. Obviously, I'd like to have more than 18, but yeah, look, I mean, I'm not paying a huge amount of attention to it just because I'm so committed to trying to climb. So yeah, look, it's definitely something that's going to come into my trade plans over the next couple of weeks. But look, I'm considering bringing in Cherry this week. I mean, I'm not set on it, but it's going to depend a lot on teams and things like that. But yeah, I'm not super worried. I mean,
Yeah.
look, if I went to Cherry, it'd be trading out TDK anyway, so it's change my buy structure.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be a pretty popular trade this week, I think, Cherry to TDK. And sort of, I'll wrap up what we're seeing with the buys in terms of, I had a look at round 16, which is the buy that not a lot of people got a lot of players on. And I've currently only got 3 players in my whole squad on that round 16 buy, being a Connor Stone, who's obviously a red dot at the moment, Bailey Smith, and then a Levi Ashcroft. And we've talked about looking at trading a Levi Ashcroft. So at the moment, I've really only got like a Bailey Smith that might be there in round 16. So it's like I'm maybe looking at some of these round 16 guys to bring in. I got Sheasel last week because I thought that was the last round 12 guy I need. I started with Cherry, so I don't want to bring in any more round 12 players. Guys like Bont, Butters, guys like that I don't have. Great options, and I'm looking forward to hopefully owning them at some point. But I won't be targeting them until after the buy, because you want those targets to be able to upgrade to in round 13, 14, 15 when they've come off the buy. So I think that's probably important as well. If you're grabbing a Sheasel or a Cherry this week, obviously take a look to make sure you don't have many of those round 12 premiums. And if you do, maybe you look at trading Caleb Daniel early. Maybe you trade a TDK. Maybe you look at moving a few of those other guys on to make sure that your buys are set. I think rounds, 13, obviously there's just 3 on St Kilda. And then round 14, 15, I think people have got a fair few of those players in there, fairly highly owned. But yeah, I guess just, looking at your structure is probably the one thing I'd say. And if you maybe those round 16 players, I'm looking at a Tom Green this week, for example. That's someone that's got the round 16 buy, a bit cheaper. You've got like a Max Holmes I'm really keen on a couple of weeks after these tough matchups go. Nick Martin as well. So there's a few of these round 16 guys we'll probably be bringing in over the next month or so. But yeah, probably just keeping that in mind, because round 16 we're pretty light on, so that would be the one I'd be keeping an eye on. But good buy chat, boys. I like that one. I thought we'd just touch on that as well for the listeners before we do. But we'll get stuck into a heap of questions. So if you are tuning in live, as I said, chuck your question in and we'll get to as many as we can. And if you are tuning in on the replay of the podcast or the video, and you want to get your question answered live, or just or see us talk some shit, and while we're doing it live, then head over to YouTube, and we record obviously live every Tuesday night for our Q&A, every Friday afternoon for our pre-lockout chat, and Sunday after the final game for our round review. So if you guys want to watch us live, then head over and join in all of the fun. We do have a super chat to start us off from DF, so thank you very much, mate. Very much appreciated. So Jordy, I'll go to you for this one here. So he's asking, as you can see on the screen there, Bice to Huswaite, Murphy Reid to Filippo is the first option, and that's both for cash gen. Or do you go Bice to Lewis Hayes, who could make his debut for Essendon this week with Jordan Ridley out, or a Fonte, and go Murphy Reid to Chad Warner? And then we'll touch on the second part of the question after. So which option do you prefer, Huswaite and Filippo, or a rookie and Chad Warner?
Yeah, okay. This is I'm thinking it's Chad Warner, because you get the primo. I guess he's a forward at the moment, so you think he's probably top 6 or close to in his line. Look, Philippou is one that I am considering heavily. I think I'm keen to see what Ross says in his press conference tomorrow, because he came out and said that if he played last week, he would play inside midfield. He's not going to play forward. He said he's trained all pre-season there. So it's just more of a risk to go on Poo this week, I think. Whereas if you did do the second trade, you would get a primo and then you could look at Poo the week after. But the other part of that trade is you're getting a Huswaite in, who is probably he's probably got a couple of weeks till Nash comes back with a bit of cash gen. So They're both pretty good. I think I'm going to go with Chad Warner because of that keeper, and with that way you get a look at Pooh. I think that's where I would I lie. But yeah, personally, I'm not ruling out Pooh this week.
Yeah, I think for me, it's I'd definitely be going the second option of Warner and one of those guys. Probably go for Fonte if you can afford him. Just you've seen him play and you can watch Lewis Hayes. But I don't know. Yeah, Philip, I want to watch for a week, as you say. First, I want to see how he scores first, and you're probably going to have low game time. Might even get a red vest as well to ease him in. But the Huswaite play, a few good coaches. Vam's obviously been one of them. Went Huswaite last week. I think it was a good play last week. Don't think I'd be doing it now, though, because Nash will be back next week. His 3-game ban, last game is this week. And Cam McKenzie as well. I don't know if he'll be back, if he's a test or anything. I haven't checked Hawthorn's injury report, but he's either going to be back within the next couple of weeks. That's 2 mids that are going to come back in. And Huswaite, Cam McKenzie's not even on the injury report, right? So he could come back in. Obviously, Amon should come back in as well. Maybe Scrimshaw's. A few guys that will come back in. I'm just a bit worried that Huswaite might even be the sub. I don't know if he's going to be completely dropped. He played quite well, but just a bit of a worrying thing for me. And then we'll touch on last bit there. So who goes first out of Riley Bice, Zach Reed, or Luke Trainer, Jordy? So obviously Trainer has got his cash gen moving again. Zach Reed's obviously gone big the last 2. So I guess poor score, but probably the high break even. Who are you trading first?
Well, Reed and Trainer are going along very, very nicely as rookies. Obviously, Bice is a mature age, so that would be the only thing, is that he's a mature age, he's a mature body. So you think that he, I guess Reed has actually been in the system for a couple of years. I think it's probably Bice ahead because he's got a bit more cash on his head. And I think he's got a good matchup this week, but I think Bice goes first because it probably helps you get to someone that you want to get to on the other end.
So it'd be interesting to see what DF, if you put it in the chat, let us know. But if you go Bice out, does that mean Reed and Trainer are both on field? That would be my only thing I don't know about, just because we have seen that sort of not go too well when you got both. If you've got them both at D6, I think Bice can go and you can loop between Reed and Trainer. That would probably be the one thing I'd say. But yeah, I think Bice got the high break.
I just got something to offer here. Look, a little bit like Jordy touched on it briefly, but the only real rookie is Trainer. Like, Reed's been in the system a couple of years. We also know that scoring of his in the VFL was pretty high, and he's now starting to replicate that kind of scoring and that kind of role. And I really feel like that guy, he's solid. He's not going to be subbed. I don't think he's going to be dropped. He's not going to be rested. I mean, Bice technically is a rookie, but mature age. So, I'd kind of lean towards Reed and Bice and getting rid of Trainer, even though that he's probably he's a little bit lower. Just for the sake of, having those older bodies, those more mature bodies, those people that have got a little bit better job security. I mean, we've already seen Trainer get subbed. He might get subbed again. But look, I think the key is it's who you get to. If Bice gets you to who you the better upgrade, then definitely, it doesn't matter who you trade.
Yeah, exactly. And I just realised as well, I did make a mistake. Nash has got next week as well. I forgot he got a 4-game ban, not a 3, so he'll be back in a couple of weeks. Cool. We'll go to Sue's question, Jordox. Should I get rid of Max Holmes or Caleb Daniel this week for Jordan Dawson? I've traded Liver for Sheasel as my first upgrade this week, trying to do a double upgrade and then do a double downgrade next week. So I would just say just have a look at the rookies, because I don't know if we got enough to do a double downgrade, so just consider that. But on the question, Max Holmes or Caleb Daniel, who goes first? Is this a buy thing in Daniel, or what do you think of Holmes? Obviously, you're a Holmes owner.
I'm worried about Holmes. I'm worried about the fact that he maybe could be carrying something. I'm not sure what the story is. I'd probably get rid of Holmes first. I've got the 2 of them, and I'm not in a rush to get rid of Daniel at this stage.
Yeah. Does it come into a buy thing for you? Obviously, Daniel's got the round 12 buy. Holmes has got the round 16 buy, which obviously we said were pretty light on. Is that at all in your thinking at the moment, or are you still just going, you want to get rid of the player, you're not really taking?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's not, but it needs to be, because, like I said, this is the time of year where you do need to start using the buys to help you make these calls. But if we're just talking purely on the players and the scoring and what I can see, the next month looking like for both players, I'd be more comfortable with Daniel in my side than Holmes, and a part of that would be the ownership too.
Did we lose Jordox, or
Which-
am I just no? My internet's bad. Clearly,
I can hear him, Bales.
cool.
And I can
internet
hear
was
you
just
as well, Bales.
yeah, cool. No, it was just my internet must have just was just refreshing, and then sort of you froze. But,
Yeah.
all good.
I
Guesty?
want to flesh this out a little bit, right? Because I mean, it's something I'm looking at, but I mean, firstly, we've got TDK to Cherry, right? So that's going to be a big consideration for some people this week. I don't think people are going to go to Gorn just because he's so highly priced. But I mean, TDK is kind of been scoring around about that. I don't know. Maybe we can kind of project him around about a 75. I mean, I know a lot of some of the pods are talking about him maybe scoring a bit higher this week up against Marshall, I think. But you know, if we go to, you know, whether it's a 75 and we go to someone like a Cherry, you know, at 115, you know, what are you talking? 40 points of upgrade or something along those lines, right? I mean, it could be even 70 and a 120, right? So that's a 50-point upgrade. Then also looking at Caleb Daniel. I mean, since Sheasel's been playing back, Caleb Daniel's only scored 75s, and I'm not sure that how much that's going to change. And once again, you might be able to flip into the midfield, you know, with like a Levi Ashcroft going forward or something along those lines. And once again, you could get potentially a 40-point upgrade there. So I don't know. I mean, do you guys think my thinking is accurate, or do you think I'm off, or?
Yeah, I might chime in. I think that's what I've been thinking about this week. And just last week, Guesty, Gorn went 158 and TDK went 65. So that was a 93-point difference. So, and Cherry's got Richmond next week. So does Cherry come out against Nate and go 150 and then TDK does a 75 and it's 75 points? So definitely something I'm looking at. And you're right. If you do that trade, what are you going to do on the other end? So Caleb Daniels, someone you flick as well. And if you can get someone that's going 95, 100, that's probably 25 points, and maybe they could pop a score. Like someone like a Josh Dacos, who's not too much higher. I think he looked great last week. He scored 101, I think. I think you could flick him in the midfield and get a Dacos and flick Levi forward. So I really do like that thinking.
What about what do we think of Rowan Marshall, just to obviously where he's priced?
So yeah, I was going to say about with Ryan Marshall. I think TDK to Cherry is a great trade. I think if you can do that, fantastic. Obviously, it doesn't affect your buys or anything like that, and you've already probably don't have the two. Obviously, you don't have two of the round 12 rucks unless you've got English, right? So yeah, the Cherry play I like. For the people that have got Cherry and are looking at doing a TDK on Marshall, I wouldn't be doing that personally. I'm still not sold on Marshall yet. No doubt his value, right? We know at his best, he's a 115 plus, right? But I've just been nervous about this limited preseason. It does catch up to players because those other players have had a full preseason, whereas we know for a fact that Marshall didn't. I want to see a good game on Friday night against TDK and then going into West Coast, which is obviously a great matchup. But then Marshall goes Jared Witts and then Max Gawn. And we know Max Gawn gave an absolute bath last year. And obviously, Witts is the toughest matchup for rucks. So that's my only concern with Marshall, that I don't know if I'd want to go there just yet. If you're keen and bullish on Marshall, I know a few people are still keen to jump on, so feel free. I'm just not looking at doing that. And we got to look at TDK, that people are looking at going, okay, well, he's had a poor run of games, right? But if we have a look at it, the 82 against Collingwood, he was actually going quite well until halftime. The rain came in, and then Darcy Cameron got on top with a lot of hit-outs, and TDK didn't do much around the ground. The following week, he played West Coast, good matchup, but it was stinking hot that day. And obviously, Guesty and Jordy, we know that because we're at the game. It was very, very hot. Then the following week, he had a 62 against Tristan Cherry, who is one of the top three toughest matchups for rucks. The week after, he had a good matchup, scored a 117. Last week, played Riley O'Brien, who's also a very tough matchup, and scored a 60. So his two sub-70 scores have come against two of the toughest matchups going around. And he goes up against Marshall, who leaks points, and then goes into, I believe, Brody Grundy and then Kieran Briggs. And I think that those three matchups for a guy like TDK, maybe Grundy, maybe a little bit tougher. I think the three, though, can be solid. So I don't think he's a must trade for those coaches sort of looking at that. Jordox, so I don't know. What do you sort of think of that?
Yeah. No, I've been a little bit different to those sort of wanting to move on to Conning. I don't know. I think he's going to come good. I mean, I have Cherry, so if you could get to Cherry, I get why you'd look at that. But I actually have a bit of a backwards thought with De Koning. I actually think if Pitnet comes in, it can help him. And the reason for that is I think he's slowed in his scoring because he's just getting he's getting tired. This is the first year he's shouldered the ruck solo. I just reckon Pitnet coming in, he'll still be rucking with him. De Koning won't just be like sitting in the goal square. He'll still be rucking for a portion of the game. It's just instead of getting smashed and having to do it all on his own, he can go forward and, maybe clunk some marks, kick some goals. So, yeah, I'm actually sort of hoping Pitnet comes in, and I actually think that's going to help De Koning. In terms of the overall question about the rucks, which is, for a line that only has 2 players on field, we do talk about it a lot and we do trade in that area a lot. And it's been an interesting year because last year it was just every ruck was braining it, whereas this year there's been lots of tricky things and hurdles to navigate. But the one guy I haven't heard talked about at all is probably the best performed ruck since round 1, other than Gawn, and that's Tim English, who has found his mojo in the last few weeks. And, what's he, 1.07? So, yeah, it's not like he's value like the others, but he could be. The way he's going, there's no reason why he can't get up there and be R2 with Gawn this year.
Yep, no, it's a good chat because obviously English has probably been the one that hasn't been chatted about as much as your Cherry, Marshall, and obviously Gawn being that. I do think Gawn's probably, if you don't have him, he's out of reach. He's priced at 116 or something, and he's not value anymore. Yes, he's got a 70 break even, but if he obviously scores a 90 or 100 this week, and he's not like not bring him in now to make cash. You're paying top dollar, and we know that more often than not, it doesn't work. They normally drop a bad score. They drop down in price. The final point I want to touch on, because so you've sort of created some good discussion here. So a few of these relevant players from the week, a lot of people are doing. So hopefully this chat's helping a few people out there. But Caleb Daniel, Jordy, obviously we spoke about this a little bit on the phone, obviously. So we'll chat about it a bit listening as well. But if people are in a position to trade Caleb Daniel, I actually like trading him this week. It's got Brisbane down in Ninja Stadium down at Hobart. So for those playing at home, that's Blundstone Arena. I'm quite nervous. He's averaged 83.6 in his last 5. Harry Sheezel's back there now. Will clearly be the number 1 distributor. Riley Hardiman's also come in and getting a little bit more ball. I just don't see the ceiling there for Caleb Daniel anymore. And if a lot of people like me, maybe not to the extent, but I had 3 mid-forwards in my midfield last week, being Ryan Marrick, Levi Ashcroft, and a Bailey Smith. I think this is a good time that if you can't go a rookie up and a rookie down, rookie up, I think Caleb Daniel to a premium midfielder, if you can do that sort of switching, is a player that I'd be considering, and I think listeners could be. Jordy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's probably hovering around, if he goes from here, would he be a 90 average maybe at best, or 92? So is that a top 6? Like, he's probably on the end of it. So, and we've got these other guys. I think you made a good point about Sheezel. The thing with Caleb Daniel is, he's obviously the guy who's taking kickouts. He took 7 last week, and I think there's some games he's taking like 9 or 10 kickouts. So that's basically like 28, 33 points from kickouts, which is obviously what we want to roll. But I think he can go if he can get a keeper. The thing with Daniel is, after this week, he does play Richmond. So if you can hold off 1 week, if he's not your biggest priority, he will come up against Richmond next week. And we've seen that Richmond give up a lot of points. And also the transition ball points against Richmond is quite a lot. So you expect them to, especially Sheezel and Daniel, expect them to get quite a few marks in that game. Look, it's something I'm looking at to trade, but I don't know if it's a priority for me yet. I think TDK is more of a priority for me at the moment. So, that's just sort of where I'm sitting at.
Jordy, I got 2 questions, right? So first, I just want to start. Where do you think TDK is going to score this week? What do you reckon he's going to score? Are you in the boat of the 90, as we kind of heard on a few of the pods?
Oh, a lot of people saying 90. He's gone like a 65 and a 7. I I can see him just dropping a 70 again. Like he's looking tired. Like I just want to jump off.
Yeah.
Like
And look, then
yeah. He had he was on 45 at halftime last week, and he got 20 points in the second half. Like he's just tiring, and
not running out.
He's not running out games. He looks tired. Like he might go 90 this week, or maybe what is it, 75, 90? Like I think Cherry is, as you said, I think Cherry's a safe 120 at least, with the potential to go 150.
And then just to go back a little bit, when in terms of talking about Caleb Daniel and TDK, the other thing I think we've got to keep in mind is, well, for my mind, there's no obvious trading target this week. Like, unless you haven't got a Sheasel, right? Probably he's at the top of the list if you haven't, but it's not like, the last few weeks we could kind of look at, it's a Petrarca or it's a Dacos or, there was like an obvious trading. Whereas for me, when I kind of look at it, it doesn't seem like there's an obvious trade. Like people are talking about Warners, they're talking about Heaney's, they're talking about Sinclair's, but he's still got a pretty high break even. Maybe next week is the better week for him. So, that's why I'm considering this kind of sideways, or well, not really sideways, but kind of a restructure with two players that I'm not liking how they're scoring. Because otherwise I could go and get in someone who I'm not 100% convinced on. And then if they fail, I'm just going to kind of kick myself a little bit, right? So I think that's another thing that kind of really gets thrown into the pot when we're kind of considering our trades for this week. I mean, are you guys clear on any, like, who the set trade-ins are this week? Am I forgetting someone or missing someone? Or?
No, it's a good point. It's a good point.
You almost have to take a punt in that range almost, and that's sorry.
I think that the one player that is probably top of my targets. Well, I got him last week, but I think Harry Sheasel is got to be one of the top targets if you can get up there. I just think he's a 115 guy in this role, and we know you can go 120. I don't think he's going to go as high as 120 could, but I think he's a 115. That's near 10 points unders, and even if he goes 110, you're still getting 5 points unders for a pretty good, very good primo, and he's probably going to be a top 2 defender. So I think he's the one, but I do agree that there's a lot of targets that you could go for, and there's not really one obvious one, unless I guess if you didn't have a Boxall and he's not the sub, then he's probably the one there. But we'll go on and move to. I've got a couple other super chats. We'll go through some more questions because I didn't realize we're nearly 40 minutes in and we've done some really good chat, but we haven't answered some individual questions. We'll go through a heap of those there. Big Willie Mike says, thoughts on trading short? Eagles are bad for defenders. So, Jordox, what are your thoughts on trading a Jaiden short?
He's been underwhelming, hasn't he? What's he done? Yeah, he has not really given us much. Yeah, I'd be pretty happy jumping off, but I guess it depends who you're going to. It's not like there's a heap back there that are screaming out, pick me. But yeah, I think you could trade him out. I reckon there's a good chance you might have more pressing issues, but I'd be happy to see the back of him.
I don't mind trading him, but I like their next 3. And you say they're bad for defenders. They're still the 6th easiest matchup for defenders. I think we've got to adjust it to Eagles aren't good for defenders and outside players at Optus Stadium. We've seen that in the last 2 games. Melbourne last week, none of their defenders did well. And we saw it against Essendon where not really many of their defenders and outside players did well. So I think it's got more to do with Eagles at Optus. They get that, so that bounce at home. I think, though, being at the G, I'm not too worried about this West Coast matchup. Then they go North Melbourne and then Essendon, all at the G. So I think he's got some good matchups still. But in saying that, I don't think he's going to burn you because I don't think he's got those 120s, 130s in Richmond. So if you can go get like a Harry Sheasel, if that's your way to get Harry Sheasel, I'll still tick it off. Obviously, depending on buy structure there. Hugh, obviously a good friend of the show, Louis, says, my doctor said 9 weeks without a poo isn't healthy. So, yeah, thanks, Louis. Appreciate your super chat, mate. That's lovely contribution there. Thank you, Louis. And Muay Thai Fanatic Guesty says, so what do we got? Actually, no, I'll go to Jordox this one because there's too many combos and we know Tim's brain can sometimes get fried when it comes to 4, 5, 6 combos. In this case, there's 4. So, with me. So Jordox, what do you reckon? So you got option 1 Sam Wicks to Joe to Jared Berry. Interesting. And then Davidson to Petrarca. Option 2, Sam Wicks to Finbar Marley and Lawler to Petrarca. Option 3, Murphy Reed to Josh Dacos and Wicks to Marley. Or 4, Wicks to Marley. So Wicks to Marley is pretty much the one here. And then Davidson to Sheasel.
I like Jordy's face on that last one. I mean, Davidson Sheasel.
Cheesy ball.
Yeah, he's a good one. I mean, Wicks has put together a couple of 70s the last couple of weeks. His price, his cash must be going up again. But if you're committed to trading him out of all those options, and it's good to have a lot of options, I think Davidson to Sheasel makes number 4 a pretty clear best there. I don't know if you guys agree.
I agree. Yeah, I think four's the one there. I think Petrarca's a good in, but you've missed those 3 good matchups, right? If you're jumping on him now, you're paying a bit more of a price. You've missed the 3 good matchups, and still a good option, but I'm just saying you've missed a few of those ones. If there's a way, Muay Thai Fanatic, you could go Lawler down to Finbar Marley, if there's some DPP you can do, and then go Davidson to Sheasel, I'd prefer to do that and keep Wicks for some cash gen. But if you can't, I still don't mind trading Wicks, because I don't think he's got a lower break even, but I don't think he's got a huge amount of cash left, because he can drop some 40s, but he has gone pretty well last couple of weeks there. So, don't mind those trades at all. Next question. Shane saying, why can't I send a super chat? Not sure. I know that there is some issues with super chats, but Shane, if you put your question in, we can answer it for you or hopefully get to it. Harry Kelly, Guesty, Lindsay to Dunkley or Sheasel? So Dunkley's got the round 16 bye, which not many people have got, which is the caveat here. But are you going Dunkley or are you still going to Sheasel?
I haven't looked much at Dunks, to be honest, but right now I'm Shees all the way. Like you said, I think he's unpriced. Let me just have a quick look at Dunks. Do we think Dunks has got some value in him? I think he's been going pretty well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been super consistent. He hasn't gone under 97 once, but he actually hasn't cleared 120 since round 1. So he's just been doing the 10 tons.
Yeah.
But
look,
he's reliable.
He's priced at about 110, although I haven't got Maria's up. I'm just kind of guessing from his price. Priced at about 110. I'm not
108,
sure.
108, I think.
Yeah, so I'm just not sure that there's value there. I'd prefer to get into Shees. I love the Sheezy ball. I mean, I think the weekend showed that he's going to be playing that role. They don't give a shit what anyone else says.
On that though, do we think that role is going to stick? What who's to say they're not going to shift it around again? I mean, they're not getting
I think
the
it's going to
results.
stick for the short term. I don't know that it's going to stick for the entire season, but I think it's going to stick for the short term. And
Sheasel,
I just think we've got to find the value, right? And we know that he can go at 120 playing in that role. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to go 120, but we know that he's unpriced, his value. So, I would be going to Shees over the Dunks. Much prefer the role. Dunkley is a defensive midfielder. I'm surprised he's scoring as well as what he is.
Yeah.
The one obviously positive with Dunkley, which I like, and if someone suggests like a Zach Merritt, for example, I don't mind going for a Dunkley or Merritt because they've got that round 16 bye, which not many, we don't, as I said, most people probably got Bailey Smith and that's it. Maybe you've got a Max Holmes, maybe you've got a few other guys, but I think Sheasel's the guy, but just, a few people looking at like your Dunkley and Merritt here. So like Swipe's got this one here, Jordy. So he's saying he's looking to get off a Caleb Daniel early to fix his buys and go to a Dunkley or Merritt. Happy with the rookies on field being Reed, Bison, Ashcroft. If you had to pick between Dunkley and Merritt, who would you be picking? But also, do you like both these guys as targets? They might be a bit more expensive, but do you like them for the fact they've got that round 16 bye?
I do like them. I actually do like Dunkley. I think he's, like you said, he's got that bye and he's solid as he's going to be a top 8 mid. Same as Merritt. So Merritt and Dunkley, what is that 300k difference? Or is that 30k? He's 1.1 mil is Merritt and Dunkley's 1.07.
30.
Yeah, so 30k. So you get a little bit more value there. I like Merritt. Let's have a look at Merritt's runs. I think he's got Sydney this week. So does Jordan try and go to him? That's probably the only thing there. But then he comes into Western Bulldogs and Richmond, who he should post some big scores there. So I think they're both top 8 mids. They're both good options. I think the other thing to look in is ownership as well. I don't know whether people like to go for a pod or not, but Merritt's at 17% and Dunkley's he's at 11%. Not too much different, but I don't know. Sometimes I like to go for a pod, so that could be part of your decision. But I like them both. I think if you got the cash, I'm potentially, if I don't go TDK to Cherry, I'm probably going to go potentially to Nick Dacos and just do it. And he's priced basically the same as Merritt and more than Dunkley. So, yeah, I know you're paying a price, but these guys are guns. So, yeah.
The thing I'd add to that, and I'd lean towards Dunkley for a couple of reasons. One is Dunkley isn't getting tagged at any stage, whereas Merritt likely will be. And the other thing with Merritt is what's something that we're pretty used to with Merritt every single year in, say, the last 3-4 years.
The second half of the year goes nuts.
Yeah,
He gets cheap. He gets really cheap at some point.
He has a flat spot. He does have a flat spot at some point, and we always end up picking him up as a bargain. Now, this year, if that happens, it's the inverse, Jordy. He's had the good start and he'll have a flat finish. So I'm not saying that's the case. I'd just be happy to just keep an eye on that. And Dunkley feels a little safer for me. But splitting hairs.
Yeah, exactly right. Angus Tremberth, Guesty, says, who goes first out of Caleb Daniel, Clayton Oliver, Jai Simpkin, and Will Ashcroft? So I think you're crossing Will Ashcroft off that list. He's just posted 119, and I was saying about round 16 buy players. He's got round 16 buy, and there's also an outside chance he's getting forward status because he played a fair bit forward and then pushed up as the fourth midfielder. So I think cross him off. And this is providing that Clayton Oliver is playing, right? If he's out, he's the obvious out. But Guesty, if Clayton Oliver plays, Daniel, Oliver, or Simpkin, who goes first?
Let's have a look at Simpkin because I haven't really been watching him.
He's been pretty solid. He had one poor one the week before last.
Yeah, so 51 the week before last. It's kind of between 80 and 100 or something along those lines. Bit of fluctuation in that. Look, I'm just not a big fan of that role, and it concerns me, right? So, look, I'm still worried about Caleb Daniel. I'm just not sure with Sheezy playing back there that he's going to be scoring much better than a 75-80. So, whereas Simpkin's probably got a bit more of an opportunity to do so. Simpkin's also got a little bit more money on his head. Look, I like the idea of getting off Caleb Daniel because he's owned by 100% of the top 100 teams. I think that's an opportunity for you to make a difference on the rest of the competition. And that's, once again, another thing that's really appealing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of the North guys, I reckon. I'm quietly optimistic. I'm quietly optimistic that Clayton Oliver comes back and tons up this week. I think if he's back, I think the week off will do him good. And you can go, well, maybe that's just me being optimistic because I held him. Yeah, mate, I think maybe you go Caleb Daniel or Josh Simpkin out first.
Look, once again, just go back to the Clayton Oliver thing. We heard who was it that made the comments that he was coming back next week? So
Trent Rivers,
Tom Morris.
Yeah,
Trent Rivers. Yeah, Tom Morris also said that as well.
Look, and the other thing is I don't know. I'm not as big on. I'm not as concerned as everyone else. How many times do we talk about seeing the players who are maybe getting on a bit, potentially resting for the West Coast trip and avoiding that travel? I think this was just an opportunity with him kind of copping a bit of heat in the media to kind of step back, take care of his mental health, have a week off, allow his body to kind of repair a little bit and get back out there. So, I'm kind of leaning towards, I think the expected outcome is he comes back refreshed and potentially starts playing and scoring better than he was before.
Yeah, I don't know if he comes back. I don't know if he comes back refreshed. I think he comes back with a bit of a bee in his bonnet. Some of the stuff that's been said about him, the guy's taken a week off for mental health reasons, and it's been nothing but it's just been nothing but talking about he wants to leave again, and he didn't play partly because he's not getting enough time on the field. It's just it's really, really disappointing to see him treated that way. So I actually think he comes back, he hits the ground running, more to prove a point and stick it up, everyone. I do think, though, if you held him and he's back, I can't see why you'd trade him, because the holding of him over the last week is kind of wasted if you then just drop him this week when he's back.
Say,
so,
Jordox, people that probably held him were the spuds like me and Guesty. Obviously, Guesty held both, but those people that held Tom Stewart. No, I'm talking about me and you who started bloody Tom Stewart, which we never should have done.
Oh, no. Fuck.
But yeah, so like a lot of people probably traded Tom Stewart just to get rid of him. And maybe they're like, I was going to trade Oliver. But I agree. I think if he's back this week, I'd keep him. The good thing as well is that this Hawthorn matchup, he'll probably look at his last couple and he scored pretty poorly, right? That's with Con Nash in there because he matched up really well to Clayton Oliver. He's not there this week. I don't think anyone necessarily matches up really well to Clayton Oliver. So I think he actually go quite well. And the other funny thing is 3 games in a row against Hawthorn, barring the last 2, he scored 126 in every game, which was quite interesting. I don't know if anyone's ever scored the exact same score 3 times in a row against someone. I'd be interested to know that if anyone can.
That's one for
but anyway,
I think. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But moving on, we'll answer a heap more questions. So Sam Botchell says, what premium defender should I get? Already have Sheasel, got 1.5 mil in the bank. So a lot of money there. But also Kurt saying, hey, lad, Zorko or Nasai. So, Jordy, I think they're probably 2 of the guys that people are looking at. So I guess who's the premium defender pick? I think, is it Sheasel? And then if it's not Sheasel, who would be the next one?
It'd probably have to be Nasai as the next one. Zorko... Did you see what happened on the weekend? He saved his score in about 2 minutes and got like about, 3+6s or whatever. He would have come out, but he seems to always do that. The thing is just like, Kitty is coming back and he's a couple of weeks away. People say that he will affect him. I'm not sure Kitty does affect him, but I just think Nasai is a safer pick. I think I would just be going there. I think he's locked into, a top 6 defender. So he would be my next option, but if you want to go risky, you could go Zorko, but that would be the order: Sheasel, Nasai, and Zorko for me.
Yeah, I don't know about Zorko. I'd be a bit worried about jumping into him. You got Kitty Coleman, who had a brilliant game in the VFL, and we'll see him back out in the seniors. Touch wood, if his body holds up. I reckon in the next few weeks. I think what Jasper Fletcher's doing is really good. For Brisbane, I think Darcy Wilmot's offering a lot in that role. I just wonder if we start to see a bit of a shift for Zork. He's a good price, but I'm a bit hesitant. I think if I was getting anyone in the back line and you already had Sheasel, it'd be Whitfield and then the Country Mile. So if you've got the 1.5, I'd be going for Whitfield.
Yeah. No, definitely could be an option for sure. Very expensive, but also rent 16 buy for Whitfield. So that could also really, really help there. Max Bosm saying DeSena is a great pickup for the Fanatics. Enjoy his perspective. So very thanks, Max. We're also very happy.
Someone also said at the top of the pod asked if you were related to Tom DeLong, and I wanted to say I see the resemblance, but Jordy's got a much better voice than Tom DeLong.
That's Blink 182, right? He's a gun.
Yeah, he's a gun, but you've got the voice.
It's very nice.
And then Cheyenne also just saying here, just waiting for this update on Guesty's date. So that was quite funny. We did get the update, which is good. Next question will go to what have we got here? So we answered that one. To answer a few of these ones here. Paulie 29 Guesty, is TDK out a bigger priority than getting Garcia out for Chad Warner? So Garcia obviously had a pretty good game and got the Rising Star Award as well.
Yeah, look, I think Garcia's an 80. Chad Warner's probably a 95. I think 90 for TDK is probably a bit bullish. I probably think maybe like an 80, or 80, maybe 85 is probably where we might end up this week. So, if you can get to a cherry, like I still think that's, probably a good 25, 30 point upgrade, whereas probably a Garcia to Warner is only maybe a 15 point upgrade. So, once that's, the natural, I think this is what makes this week hard, right? Like my natural inclination is to upgrade someone like a Garcia. But, when you kind of look at the point differentials, that's why, for me, a Caleb Daniel and a TDK are in consideration just because of the point differentials that I can get to with the cash I've got. So does that answer the question for you, Bales?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
What do we got one here? We got Cooper Young saying thoughts on Nod this week. So obviously Nod is potentially looking to play this week. Jordy, is there a world where you could go back to a Nathan O'Driscoll there? So he's priced at, I believe it's the mid 600Ks. So yeah, 642K, break even of 39. Collingwood at Optus on Thursday, then Giants, Port Adelaide, Gold Coast in the bye. Jordy, what do you reckon?
I assume he's thinking about it because Jaiden Young has gone out with a hamstring, and there's talk that O'Driscoll will take his midfield minutes and have high CVAs. I might have to look at these numbers. Like he did a 99 on West Coast. Was that high CVAs? I'd have to have a look. I just don't know. He's the awkward price, 642K. Like, I don't know. It's hard to just jump straight back in. It's also the Thursday night. You need to lock that in Thursday night as well this week. We've got probably Phillipou at the same price if we think he's going to do the same as a forward. I don't know. I probably not for me. I think I'd probably want to see it. If we start seeing him get real high CVAs this week, then maybe he could be a play because we are short on cash gen, and if we can see him making 150K or something, then he's going to be probably make more money than a rookie. But it's a no from me currently.
Yeah, Huswaite is about 50, 60K cheaper, and I'd be more comfortable with his role in the next, in the short term anyway.
Yeah. I think Nod could be a good option next week. This is a good opportunity to wait. Thursday night, it's a bit of an excuse to just say, I don't want to lock in that trade early. Or wait, watch him for a week. But I think that is definitely something to watch in terms of role, because we know he was scoring well on the wing, and we know that he can score well. So something definitely to watch. And I do like the price, as Jordy says, with the low cash gen, not many rookies coming through. Like realistically, you could almost sideways some of these guys, like your Bice if you've got a defender in your midfield, or like a Levi if he put up a lower score, you could sideways them or even make money from a Levi to a Nod. So definitely something to watch there. JR saying Bont or Dunkley. Who should I get in? I would be saying Dunkley, because Dunkley's got the round 16 bye, which is good. Bont has got the round 12 bye. I think Bont is the perfect upgrade in round 13, 14 once he's had his bye. He's an expensive price, double downgrade to get him in the buys. I'd be going for Josh Dunkley out of those two. We've got a couple more right before we finish up. When you hit the hour mark, Harry Kelly's got this one, Jordox. Dunkley or Sheasel?
I feel like we did that one already. Did we talk
Actually,
about Dunkley versus Sheasel?
Sorry, we did do that one, actually. I realised that I said Dunkley Sheasel, and I might hang on. I think I asked that already.
Sounds familiar.
Yes, we did do that. Yes, we did. Don't mind me. It was someone else asking the exact same question, but there we go.
Yeah.
Matt says, well, Josh, I'll go for you this one. Matt says, who goes first, Lindsay or Lawler?
Ooh.
I think Lawler.
Lindsay dropped the 30 on the weekend, and
but that was a funny game, wasn't it?
Game over. Yeah, Lawler's only had the
that
one
was a
game
funny
over
game
as well.
for Melbourne with like Salem and Bowie. A lot of their guys that usually rack it up all were pretty quiet. Yeah, I'd probably stick with Lindsay and move Lawler on.
Yeah, I think so. Like Lawler's, he's popped to 195, but the rest, his highest was 68. Like Lindsay's got more scope to go higher. We've seen a few 80s, 90s from him. So
yeah, you'd be more comfortable with him on field, even with last week's effort.
Exactly. And what's the price? I think Layla's actually he's actually more money, Layla.
Yeah, 555K, break even to 60. Lindsay's priced at 539. He's still got a break in of 47. Like, it's not actually as high as probably what we think after a 30, because he dropped the 98 the week before. if he goes and puts out an 80 this week, Hawthorn are actually a good matchup for wingers. I didn't actually realise that, but I think Jordy, I think you were the one telling me that when we were chatting about it, and said they're good matchup for wingers. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he put up an 80 this week and made a bit more cash and kickstart it. And when we're talking about lack of cash gen, I think I think you can hold Lindsay for another week, but I also think you can trade at the same time. Liam DMD has got this one. So, Jordy, I'll go back to you for this one here, saying, is going sideways from Murphy Reid to either a Jaiden Cleary or Elijah Hewitt a good trade with the lack of rookie cash gen options up front? So I'm assuming that Liam's probably got Boxall, because if Boxall's not the sub, he would be the obvious one. So Elijah Hewitt, priced at 472k, got a break even of 19 after scoring 81 last week, scored a 77 as well against Essendon a couple of weeks prior with a 45 against Hawthorn in between. And then Jaiden Cleary is priced at 503, break even of 27, but it's got some pretty good matchups on the horizon. What do you think? Are they too expensive for you? Or do you think there's a well where you can launch into one of them? I think Louis, obviously a good friend of ours, he launched into a Lindsay on the bench last week, who was slightly more expensive. So what do you reckon?
I think these guys are too expensive now, personally. Like, I think Lindsay's different because we saw he's a good scoring rookie. Like, Hewitt has gone 81, but didn't he kicked 3 goals. Like, he needs goals to get that score. The one thing that I do, and I don't know if other coaches do it, but on DFS, you can actually go to a price projector. And I would look at, if you like Cleary or Hewitt, just put in what you think they can go out for the next 3 weeks. And if they're looking to make 100k maybe on what they're priced at, then maybe it's a good trade in. But I don't know if Cleary potentially might, but I don't know whether these guys are going to make over 100k. Hewitt needs goals. I think I'd just be looking somewhere else. I'd be looking at a Boxall or a Fonte, or we might get a Lewis Hayes. You're going to get a little bit more cash from Murphy Reid to one of them, and then you can do something else. That's just me personally. Like, Hewitt had to go. He did a 77 as well against Essendon, and that was kicking 2 goals. So he needs goals to get it. Cleary does tackle. I prefer him, but he's at 503k. So I just don't know if he's going to make how much money he's going to make. I'd probably look at the projector. So, yeah. That's where I'll sit with it.
Really good answer there. I think it's a really good answer. Yeah, I prefer Cleary, but I do think they are at a point where they're quite expensive. So you got a Joe Fonte, who I think could actually be a decent rookie at mid 300s. Boxall's there. If we get a Lewis Hayes get named, Smiley's coming through. Hardiman as well.
I think Hardiman's an option.
We've got Leo Lombard as well, probably a couple of weeks away. Probably not going to be a huge scorer, but will be an option at some point. I think he will slide into that forward line for Gold Coast. So we have got a couple on the horizon. We're just waiting for them to make their way through. Hopefully we get a couple this week. I still think by Allen, even though he didn't score great, I think he'll be back in the team after his week suspension. And I think he'll be okay. Moving forward, his job security, I think, will be fine. I think West Coast want to get games into him. So, yeah, I think he could be okay once he comes back from his week suspension. Final couple. What do we got?
Did you get that second
Fusion
super chat from My Thai Fanatic?
Oh, we got. Oh, okay. No, I didn't realize we had one there. Cool. Thank you, My Thai Fanatic, for another one there. So, Sandwicks or Lawler, guys. I don't out trade is on. The guy I don't trade out Lawler is on field. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd trade Lawler as well. Yeah. Play Wicks if you have to play one. Yeah, I'd be happy to play Wicks if that gets you the upgrade that you want. So, yeah. There was one question that I was going to say, but I'm if I can find it, where is it? Sneaker Fusion, Jordox saying TDK to Gawn and Oliver to Ned Long. So Ned Long's over 700k now, and Gawn's so expensive. Is this you still teeing this off? Gawn is very expensive. Do you think there is a well where you can go Gawn, or do you think that you just don't? He's top dollar.
You can. I mean, he's not. He's a lot. But, I mean, I'd say go. I'd be happy to get a Whitfield, and he's less than Whitfield. So, but the other part of it, Oliver to Long, that had to be done 2 weeks ago. That was what I was looking at. I wish I bloody had the balls to do it. No, I don't think you can go to Long now because he's scoring 80s and he's 80s and 90s. He's doing a fine job, but at 700k,
break even
probably not.
break into 43 as well. I think he'll actually go quite well this week. Obviously, Collingwood got a few guys out. Pennery, Maynard, Mycheck. There's probably one more I can't think of that are getting rested this week. So I think Ned Long scores quite well. Jordan DeGoey was the other one. Yep, are out. So I think he scores well this week.
No,
but he's 700k, 43 break even.
That
if
Long
he goes to 60 or 70, he's not going to make much more.
The Long type is, O'Driscoll, which I think is too risky to jump on straight away. I still think it's Huswaite if you're going to do a move like that.
Yeah, I think you're going Huswaite if you're going for that sort of price area. With that there, so. Final question we'll go to as we finish up here. Daniel actually saying is Rory Laird an underrated option for defence, safe 90 every week. He's underrated, but also don't think he's got as painful as it is to say it. I don't know if I'm trading in the Lairdy, which kills me. I'd love to.
Let's record
He just doesn't have it. He's going to be a guy that will score between 85 and 99 pretty much every week. He'll have the odd game sub 80, but then he'll have the odd game sub 100, which will even out. He'll probably average about 90. I just don't know. I don't see him being a top 6 defender, which, as I said, it is painful to say. But last question I did want to say, actually, we got a super chat here from Golf Alien. Just no comment there, just super chat. Thank you, mate. We'll see if you put a question, then we can answer it for you. But if not, we appreciate super chat regardless. But Brad Rhodes, Guesty, says, "G'day, lads. Working on my second trade, either considering a Marais to Filippo for the gamble or Daniel to Sheasel and throw him back. Second choice means, okay, 4 rookies on field, including Lindsay."
Okay, so who do we? Levi Ashcroft is bound to be one of them, and then maybe it's like a Reed, Trainer, or Bice, right? So
yeah, I think it'd be Lindsay. I think it'd be Lindsay, Levi, Bice, and then Trainer or Reed. One of those two. That'd be the 4.
Yeah. So look, how do we feel about Lindsay? This is a question I've got as well. Do we think he's going to bounce back? Do we think he's still an 80 player?
I think he bounces back. You can still trade. He's not going to make bulk cash unless he goes like 100 or something like Levi did, which I'm not putting it past him, but unlikely. I think it just comes down to you pretty much got it's either going Caleb, Daniel, and Filippo on field or having Sheasel and Lindsay. I think I'm still leaning towards Sheasel and Lindsay because Filippo, I want to see a week. You can go Marais to Filippo next week, I think. Is it? Guesty, do you reckon it's that point where Sheasel's one of those players, if you can bring him in, you just do it? Is that where we're at with Sheasel?
I think he's a bit like Nicky D, right? Like, he's just going to be one of those players that you're going to watch and you're just going to hate every fucking minute of not owning him. This is, and I don't know what I'm going to do this week, right? Like, I'm in a bit of the same boat. Like, I can do this, potentially a move with Daniel or TDK, or I've got to look at upgrading Lindsay. Now, I probably can get Lindsay up to someone pretty big. So, it's definitely an option, but I kind of still feel like, I kept him because I thought he was an 80 player. And I'm almost feeling like if I'm getting off now, I may be missing a little bit of the benefit of having held on to him. Look, it's my answer to this could change day to day, but I think I'm with you, Bales. I think I'm hold Lindsay, get to Shees, and enjoy fantasy a hell of a lot more.
Yeah. I agree. The other with that trade is he's looking at Marais. If Marais doesn't play, like I'm looking at Lindsay, looping him. I'm going to loop Lindsay, I think, this week, and I'm going to use Marais as the loop because I don't think he's. I was probably just going to put the E on Lindsay and
his box plays first.
Probably he plays first, yeah. And then I've got a trainer in my utility, so I can put him on, or there's a Cleary there. But I might save it. Like if I'm doing TDK to Cherry, I could just see what Lindsay does, and then that could dictate my second trade. If he does a good well, then maybe I go to a Daniel or something. But if not, I need to fix that M8 spot. So Marais there, I know he's looking at trading him out. Like he could actually be handy if he wanted to do a loop there. And I agree. I think just get Sheasel in because he's a weapon.
Yeah, and I think that Mariah, a lot of people have Mariah. A lot of people probably loop Boxall on the Friday night, and maybe with a Lindsay or a Levi in the midfield or someone like that. So, yeah, that could be handy for those people this week. Golf Alien did have a question there. Is Jordan Dawson good? Bloody oath he is. That's all I'll say about that. So if you could go a lot, I'd go for another 10, 15 minutes talking about Jordan Dawson, but we will wrap up there. But thank you, everyone that sent through their question. Apologies if you didn't get your question answered. If you do want a guaranteed answer, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. Got the Patreon exclusive Q&A tomorrow night. All I'll say is it's not as long as the big boys. Sorry, the ball boys. I said big boys then. As long as the ball boys, they do like a 2-hour Q&A, which I do love listening to. I listen to all of it, but it is a long one. I don't go quite that long, but yeah, make sure you guys, if you want to head over to patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics there. And also check out the Ball Boys Patreon as well there, because they do release the big boys on there. So make sure you check that out. But yes, let's go through our current
shade from the big boys this week. Bit of you copied their captains apparently.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, no, Luke told me that. Luke told me not. Yeah, but I didn't. I was actually quite surprised. We actually went pretty similar, and they had Dawson higher than what I did, which I was pretty happy with, that they got the job done. At least Dawson got it done, and not someone else. But
I got him back by smashing Roger this week.
Yeah, exactly. But I lost to Mitch, unfortunately. Still have not beat Mitch in the Content Creators Cup. God damn it! I still am yet to beat him. Hopefully, at some point in the next 15 years, the Content Creators Cup. Hopefully I can get him at least once. But let's go to our current trade plans as of Tuesday night. I've had a few days to think about what we're doing. So, Jordy, what are you looking at with your trades at the moment?
I think I'm going to go TDK to Cherry, and then I don't know what my second trade is. I'll loop Lindsay and see what happens there. I am very tempted. I know it's risky, but I am tempted to just go to Philippou and just loop him to Friday night, and I could loop him, and I could loop him Friday, because if he pops one and everyone has to get on him next week, I've already got him, and then I can go the next move. But it is risky, so I will have a think about that. But I think, as Tim said, I think I got to get off TDK. So that's me.
Yeah, no, beautiful, love it, mate. And I guess the risk is mitigated a little bit because you're going Philippou on the bench there as well. Jordox, what are you looking at doing?
I don't really know, but I think what you just said, Jordy, is spot on, and it's probably the move I need to make, is to get someone in a week before the pack, because I just keep chasing, and I don't want to fall further behind. So something that involves getting Philippou in early, and I really like Riley Hardiman as a downgrade option. So maybe something along those lines. Get another kid off the field potentially.
Yeah, beautiful. Guesty?
Before I do my trades, just a bit of a public service announcement. So, look, obviously divorced and getting back into the dating game and using the apps. And I don't know about you boys, but I am useless when it comes to a text game. So I want to give you my hack. I've been using ChatGPT for every reply. It's working a treat. I'm loving every minute of it. So if anyone's out there struggling on the apps, fucking get yourself a subscription to ChatGPT and let the robots do the work for you.
I reckon there was an episode of South Park where that was happening. Did I imagine that? I reckon that. Anyway, good work, Tim.
Oh, this after titled this pod, round 9 Q&A and Guesty's dating life. That's what we should do it.
Yeah. So
is he gone? Or is it me?
Oh no, he's not.
He's gone.
I thought maybe that was my internet maybe playing up then, but maybe Guesty's internet's playing up.
He's gone out on a high. Well played.
Oh, Guesty, we can't hear you, but I'll go through my trades, then we can hopefully get you back and hear what you're looking at doing. But my trades, so Lawler down to Boxall is the trade I'm doing. Obviously, if Boxall's the sub, obviously I have to pivot away from that. But at the moment, I'll be going Lawler down to Boxall. And I think I'm doing it. At the moment, I've currently got Caleb Daniel out, putting a few of those, because as I said, 3 of the mid-forwards in my midfield, and going up to Nick Dacos. He's the only player I don't have over 20% in the top sort of 1,000, 10,000 that could hurt me. Something of maybe cancelling that last one out and then looking for value. The other guy I do like, though, is I do like Tom Green as a round 16 buy players, a bit cheaper. That might be a play, and it gives me a bit of wiggle room if Boxall's a sub, I can go get Fonte in as a rookie instead. Whereas if I get Dacos locked out Thursday, I'd have to go for another rookie like a Lewis Hayes. So if a few options present on Thursday night, I'll probably stick with Nick Dacos. I think lock him in. But yeah, one of those premium midfielders I'm looking at bringing in this week. So that is what I'm looking at doing. Shayan there says, I was on a date. We both used Chat GPT and we fell in love. So there you go. Guess he wouldn't be able to hear that because he hasn't jumped back in yet. So we'll have him back on in a series. He's jumping back on the call. Here he is. Guesty, we got you back, mate. Guesty?
Oh, I can hear now. Sorry, boys. My phone died and I had to jump onto my laptop.
No, all good. I don't know if you saw Sharon's comment. Sharon just said, I was on a date. We both used Chat GPT and fell in love. So,
there you go. The robots are leading the way.
Yeah. So what are your trades, Guesty? Where anticipation was killing us all. Like, what's Guesty
sorry.
doing?
Yeah. I didn't know where. I'm not even sure where my phone died. So what you heard and what you didn't hear. So yeah, look, TDK and Caleb Daniel are on the chopping block. Although chances are I'll probably play a straight bat and upgrade Lindsay. And then who will go for Lindsay will either be a Tom Stewart, which probably I should have fucking chosen out last week, or a Luke Trainer. But you know, I mean, here's the tough question. Say Stewart is back. Who's going to score more, Tom Stewart or Luke Trainer? I mean, how do you answer that fucking question?
Trainer.
I think
easily.
I'm going to say trainer. I'm going to say trainer. I cannot.
I'll go Stewart.
I'm so glad I traded Tom Stewart last week. He was just so good for my mental health, not having to worry about it. And I don't even know if I could train him back in. He could have actually, every man's got his price, right? But he could have a 6 frame of his name soon. I just don't know. Just don't know. Guessy,
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Look. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. Right. So that's what I've got to figure out between now and Thursday night. And look, teams. Who knows? Teams might make the decision for me.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good note because it's been a wacky sort of last 10 minutes of the podcast. So we'll wrap up there. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in live as always. And if you are tuning in live now or watching on the replay and on YouTube, make sure you smash like on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're just over 200 away from 4K. So we are almost at the 4,000 subscriber mark. So if you haven't subscribed, get involved. We've got content daily coming through on YouTube as well. And as I said, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. I also didn't mention you get the Ask Me on Q service, the personalized audio response stuff, all for free for just being a patron. So if you want to become patron, head over there for also bonus exclusive content. But Jordy, mate, thanks for jumping on once again, mate. Where can the people find you across the socials?
Yeah, it's just Jordan DeSanta on X. That'll be where I am.
Beautiful, mate. Jordox, mate, where can the people find you, finders, keepers, and also where they can find AFL subs as well?
Yep. So I'm on X at Jordox 2020. You can find Finders Keepers on X at FindKeepAFL. It's the new podcast this year that looks at keeper leagues and dynasty leagues. Big episode came out today looking at a player, a defender that is a first half tease, averaging 60 in first halves, but only averaging 35 in second halves. Go and have a listen. And then AFL subs, of course, me and Elle, and sometimes Liam helps out as well. Working like a well-oiled machine. So at AFL subs, make sure you like the page and set up notifications on X. And then every game, an hour before the bounce, you'll get the subs notified to your phone before anyone else.
Yeah, beautiful. Make sure you get around it. Guesty, where can the people find you?
Tim Guest AU, and just to respond to LM there, yes, we are going to start a new segment as of next week. Trade or spade, but it's not for AFL fantasy players; it's for my dates.
Guesty
for sure. We'll have to get. We'll have to if we're doing that, we'll have to get Nathan on for sure, and he can help expand the segment. Love it. And you can find me at BAILSDT across the social. You can find us at AFL Fantasy Fans as well on Twitter. As I said, thank you very much for everyone that tuned in live. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe on YouTube, 5-star rating and review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get it would be absolutely fantastic as well. All your support is always very, very much appreciated. I'll be back tomorrow for Trade Talk as always. Captains on Thursday, and then we're back for our pre-lockout chat on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Perth time, answering all your questions in the lead up to Friday night footy. So thank you, everyone, and we'll catch you guys then. See ya.
See ya.